Greetings, everyone. Welcome back. This is the 8th episode of this CQRS implementation in our Web API project. And let's see what we are going to do in this episode, episode number 8. So in this section, we're going to call the add employee command using the controller, and we're going to test it using Postman. So inside of our controller, if you remember from the previous episodes, we had this endpoint. Now we are going to create this endpoint. So this endpoint, as you can see, is an HTTP post endpoint. And inside of the body, we are going to receive the employee that we want to add to our data store. So again, this could be a DTO. If you remember from the previous episode, I talked about the importance of not using your domain entities directly, but rather a DTO. But here, for the sake of simplicity, I have decided to use my domain entity directly. So I am, receiving an employee, and then this is the beautiful part of using CQRS. Take a look here, please. So using our mediator, as before, I am using the send method, right? I am using the send method, and then I am creating an instance of my command using add employee command. And inside of the command, if you recall from the previous episodes, if you take a look here, we can pass in an employee. So this is what I am doing here. I am passing the employee that is coming in the request body, This endpoint is responsible for handling an HTTP request, a post request to be precise. And that post request, in its request body, that post request contains an employee. So I'm going to get that employee, I'm going to put it inside of my command, and I'm going to use the send method of my mediator to dispatch this command. And then that's it. So now the mediator is responsible for taking this command with its payload, right? And then finding a handler inside of my handlers in my assembly, finding the corresponding handler to handle this, command. And then what I am going to do afterwards, I am going to, return a 201 response from this add employee endpoint saying that the employee was added to the data store correctly. So a lot of things are abstracted here. I don't have any validation. I do not, of course, the validation could go in the handler method of the handle method of my command handler, right? But what I am trying to say is that because I didn't want you to lose focus, I have decided not to implement many things that are normally required in a real world application, like for example validation. Here what I am doing is that I am assuming that the employee that is coming inside of this is 100% is 100% okay. I'm just gonna send it to my handler, and that's it. And then I am always going to return a 201 response saying that, okay, the operation was fulfilled successfully. So yeah, we add an HTTP post endpoint. It accepts an employee in the request body. We create the command in the action method. We are gonna use send from our mediator. Since the command doesn't return a value, we're gonna return this as status code, and that's it. And this is the request that we're going to invoke in a moment. And yeah, let's do this. Let's do this. This is my project. If I go to my controller, this is the new HTTP post method that we, talked about. So this is exactly the code that I showed you inside of the notes. Now I can run this. And then I can go here. Right now, as you can see, I had three different employees. So I can send a request again. You can see that I've got 3 employees: John Doe, Jane Smith, Peter Jones. But if I send this command, I'm gonna receive this result: 201 created. For ID number 4, Sarah Miller. If I send this one more time, you will see that Sarah Miller is added to my fake data store. And of course, that fake data store could be a database context, could be a repository, could be EF Core SQL database, doesn't matter. And this handler, like add employee handler, right now it is using the fake data store. It could similarly use an application service or a repository. Again, doesn't matter. The beautiful part is that the controller, as I told you before, is unaware of the logic that is responsible for fulfilling this command. It doesn't know anything about it. It doesn't need to know anything about it. All it does is creating the command with the correct parameter, dispatching it using MediatR.send, and then receiving the response and sending out the response to the client. That's the beauty of using MediatR. You are separating different concerns of your applications. You've got your command separated, you've got your controller separated, you've got your handler separated, right? And this allows you to manage things more easily. Now, if I was not using something like MediatR or CQRS, what I would have to do was to inject my repository or my application service here, and then I would have to communicate directly with that application service or repository or database context, doesn't matter. And then the code inside of my controllers would have become very bloated and very, unmaintainable. Right now, everything is small, maintainable, and I am, happy with the structure that I am seeing. And that was it for this episode. I hope you've enjoyed it. Give it a thumbs up and stay tuned for the next episode, for episode number 9. Thank you. Bye-bye.